So last night I saw the Five Nights at Freddy's movie and I really enjoyed the movie. I saw it with a few of my friends and we overall had a very good time. I have been waiting for this movie to come out ever since the first trailer dropped, and I am proud to say that it did not disappoint. But before I get any further, this is going to be a spoiler review, as it says in the title of this video, as I'm going to go over the plot as well as some key plot points and events. So if you don't want to get spoiled, I'm going to give you some time to click off. You're still here? Alright, let's do this. So the movie follows Mike Schmidt as he's trying to provide for his little sister Abby while he's really struggling to find a job because he has a very harsh history of getting fired from a bunch of places. And then he eventually lands the job at Five Nights at Freddy's as a security guard working from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. But also Mike keeps having dreams of his little brother Garrett being taken away when they were both kids, but Mike doesn't know who kidnapped him. And as the movie progresses, his dreams get longer and he slowly starts to piece together who took his little brother. And while this is going on, Mike's trying to figure out what the heck is going on at the pizzeria. Like, how are these robots alive? What's the deal with like the kids going missing and all that? So basically, if you know the story of the games, then you know the story of this movie in terms of like the overall plot. Obviously, there's a few changes to the story, such as Mike's repetitive dreams, but the story is told in a way to where both fans of the franchise and newcomers can both enjoy it. I think Scott Cawthon, one of the people making the movie, said that they wanted to make this movie for the fans, and that is very much the case, as there's a ton of fan service in here, and it's good fan service too. You know, it's not like cheeky fan service where you're just staring at the screen like, really? No, it's actually really good, and if you're a fan of the games, then I think you're going to enjoy it. For example, there's a couple good cameos in here, not only with Corey Kenshin, which I'm sure a lot of you knew about because he was shown in the trailer, but also Matt Pat is in the movie, which came as a real shocker to me because he said numerous times that he wasn't going to be in it, but sure enough, really early on in the movie, he just showed up as a waiter, and he even says his iconic line, "It's just a theory." And I thought that was so freaking cool that they got him as a surprise cameo in the movie, and I honestly think he deserves to be in it considering all the things he's done for the franchise. And I also really like how they kept it a secret because it really added to the experience of seeing him on the big screen. Like, I remember when he showed up, my theater went wild, including me. Like, I was clapping and cheering when he showed up. And speaking of the theater I was in, it really added to the experience because when moments like that happened, they started clapping and cheering, and it just made it overall more enjoyable. I remember near the end of the movie when William Afton shows up in the Springlock suit, one of the kids in the back shouted, "It's the man behind the slaughter," and we all started laughing. But anyways, back to the movie. There are some really cool sequences that I really liked, such as this one scene early on in the movie where the animatronics are shown killing people that broke into the pizzeria. But prior to them killing them, there's like a ton of suspense with the animatronics' eyes moving, and then they disappear and you get to see them like walking around, and it's a really creepy and suspenseful scene. In fact, during this sequence, Foxy does his iconic run down the hallway and you get to hear the Five Nights at Freddy's scream that plays every time a jump scare happens, which I think was really cool. Like I said, there's a ton of fan service in the movie, but it's not cheeky fan service, it's actually good fan service. But speaking of the animatronics, they looked freaking amazing. Blumhouse did such an incredible job with the animatronics, as well as just the set design in general. Their costumes, the set design, the props, everything aesthetic wise was just nailed down to a T, but by far the animatronics were the best part. I personally thought Foxy looked the coolest, and there's one scene where he's doing like a slow walk towards Abby as she's hiding behind an arcade machine, and he looked so freaking cool. But by far my favorite scene has to be at the end of the movie when William Afton shows up in the spring Bonnie suit to kill Mike Schmidt, and it leads to this really cool confrontation between him and the animatronics. And if you know the story of FNAF, then you know that this is when the spring locks inside of the suit fail and William dies a slow and painful death. And I just really like this scene because, you know, the tension's really high, the music's like kicking up, and it's just a really cool scene to watch unfold. And plus William Afton says his iconic line, "I always come back," which I thought was super cool that they put that in there. And now that I've talked about a lot of the things that I did like about the movie, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I didn't like about the movie, because there's a couple questions that I have about things that happen that are never really answered. So as I mentioned earlier, Mike keeps having dreams of his little brother Garrett being kidnapped, but he doesn't know who took him, so through his dreams he tries to figure out like who the perpetrator is. But in his dreams, the kids that are possessing the animatronics appear, and as the movie goes on, he slowly starts starts to be able to communicate with them and eventually just straight up talk to them. This is more of just a personal minor nitpick, but I was just sitting there in the theater being like, how the heck is he able to do this? And later on in the movie, it's revealed that Abby, Mike's younger sister, is also able to talk to the kids, but it's never shown nor explained how she's able to do it. Like, she can straight up talk to the kids as their spirits are possessing the animatronic suits, and the movie's just kind of like, oh yeah, this is just something she can do. And that's kind of where this movie falls flat for me, because from a storytelling and writing perspective, it's really not that good. But this doesn't ruin the movie for me, because I didn't go into it expecting Berserk level storytelling. I went into it wanting to watch my childhood on the big screen, and that's exactly what I got. Overall, I give the Five Nights at Freddy's movie a solid 7 out of 10. It was very enjoyable, especially as a fan of the franchise, but I feel like if you're a newcomer, you're still going to enjoy it. One last thing I wanted to add, I really like how they got the Living Tombstone song Five Nights at Freddy's to play during the credits. I remember when that song came on, the whole theater started clapping and cheering, me included, and I honestly could not have asked for a better theater, as it really added to the viewing experience. And that's going to do it for the video. Thank you for watching, and yeah, peace.